It's an inspirational day here at the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata with Sterling K. Brown, Angry Boys, Good Boys, and Blinded by the Light. Stay right there.
You're tuned into Black Hollywood Live, the world's first digital broadcast network devoted entirely to urban entertainment and pop culture. Tune in right now.
Hello, hello, hello. This is your girl, Carla Renata, a.k.a. the Curvy Film Critic. You have joined me over here at Black Hollywood Live for episode 72. Yes, episode 72. And we have a lot on the docket today. We're going to talk about Good Boys, Blinded by the Light, Brian Banks, Hair Love, Angry Birds 2, and a very special interview, a video interview. You asked, I delivered. A video interview with Sterling K. Brown. And I want to give a special shout out to Michael B. and Marlon Wallace in the chat room. Thank you guys for always coming and supporting me and hanging out with your sister. Oh, and we got somebody else in the chat room. Shanika Jenkins. Hey, Shanika Jenkins. Girl, you from Martin. What's up? But thank you so much for joining me today. I really wholeheartedly appreciate it. For someone like Shanika, if this is your first time here, please pop on over to YouTube and give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you loved it. Let me know that you were there so that I can give you some love right back. If you have some comments after the show is over, please put them in the comment section below the video. I will answer you right back. And you can join the chat room right now and talk to me in real time if you like. All right, so let's get on with it. I had an opportunity to see this film. It's called Good Boys. And Good Boys is a movie that is produced by Universal Studios. It's in theaters right now. It's directors who call themselves the Beanbag Boys. And they are at that tween age, you know, they just want to learn how to kiss a girl and all that. So they send this drone over to the next door neighbor's house to help them, show them how to use, not show him how to use, but show them how to kiss a girl. And they end up crashing the drone. They have to get a new one. Lucas's dad told him not to use the drone. They use it anyway, and these girls end up blackmailing them, and it's a whole thing. But it's a tween comedy. Keith L. Williams is this little black boy. Y'all have seen him a zillion different times in a multitude of different projects. But there was a lot of controversy surrounding this particular film, mostly because, let me find that piece of information that I found. Mostly because I think in rehearsals for the film or something, there was a day while shooting where somebody, the stand-in for Keith L. Williams, was in blackface. And folk were not having it. And when Seth Rogen, who's one of the producers, found out, he shut that down real quick, fast, and in a hurry. I'm going to find that, though, and I'm going to give you the real rundown on that. Because I was like, really? Did they really just, put somebody in blackface to be a stand-in? That was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever heard of in my entire life. But it did happen. But having said that, I did see this film, and I thought it was funny. I thought it was hella funny. Them running around trying to evade these girls with this drone was just pure comedy. And Jacob Tremblay, it was really nice to see him being in something that was a little light and fluffy, because the last thing I remember him in was Room, and he was a little younger at the time. Room is the film where Brie Larson won her Academy Award, and Jacob Tremblay played her son. So it was nice to see him not being such a, dark, downtrodden, serious, dramatic, film, and to see him in something light and fluffy with his friends. And Keith L. Williams was the one who was there. You always had that one friend who just does not want to go on with the shenanigans. He just can't lie. So he's a Christian. Every time they do something, he fesses up to his parents, which that in itself is pure comedy. And Keith L. Williams is one of these actors that he had a little growth spurt during the film. So when the film starts out, he's the same height as everybody else. And by the time it finishes, he looks like he's their uncle from another state or something. It's pure comedy. But I really enjoyed that film, and it is in theaters right now. Let me see what's happening over in the chat room. What y'all talking about over there? Hey, Jenna James. Nice to see you. You thought Good Boys was coming out next week? No, it's in theaters right now. Or maybe Or maybe it is coming out next week. Child, I've seen so many movies and have done so much in the last couple of days. I may have gotten my days mixed up, but I think you're right. I think it comes out on August 12th. So my bad for giving misinformation. And I hate doing that.
Good Boys actually comes out August 16th.
Oh, see? I told you, got my dates all messed up. August 16th. There you go.
All right, Carla, I got your back.
I appreciate you, Josh. Thank you. All right. So the next film I want to talk about is this film called Blinded by the Light. I actually saw this film at Sundance, at the Sundance Film Festival. And for those of you who may not necessarily be familiar with what the Sundance Film Festival is, it's a film festival that happens usually around January or February every year. And it's the one film festival other than the Cannes Film Festival that kind of sets the tone for the award season. You kind of get a feel from Sundance what's going to be talked about when award season starts rolling around. Blinded by the Light was not one of these films that was on my radar. I hadn't planned to see it. I was like, okay, let me go see it. Let's see what this is about. All I knew about it is that it had something to do with Bruce Springsteen, and I like Bruce Springsteen. So I was like, okay, let me go see this film. You guys, this is the feel-good film of the year. I loved this movie so much. It centers around, it's a true story. It centers around this young Indian boy in in England, where he's dealing with some bullying, he's dealing with some racial profiling situations, and the only way he can get through that is by listening to his music, and he loves Bruce Springsteen. So the lyrics of all these Bruce Springsteen songs kind of serves as the monologue and the mantra for his life and helps him get through all of these tough times in his life. And it's really cool the way that the director, Gurinder Chadha, has directed it. He directs it where the music is a very integral part of the plot and the lyrics kind of float across the screen as though they're happening in the lead character's mind. You guys, it's a really good film. It's one of those films that you go and see it and you kind of just want to skip down the street singing Bruce Springsteen songs. It's light and fluffy. There are some very dramatic moments. There's a moment with the two lead characters where they have a little parting of the ways because one of them is feeling one way about one thing. I'm trying not to give you any hints about the movie because I want you to go see it. Not hints, but I don't want to ruin it for you because I enjoyed it. And if I sit here when I talk about movies and tell you everything about the movie, then you'd be like, then why I got to go see it? She already told me everything. And I don't want to have a spoiler corner, so to speak. So I want you to go out and see it. But that one does open on August 16th, and it's produced by New Line Cinema. I also saw this movie. It's called Brian Banks. I just have to take a pause for the cause when I talk about Brian Banks because Brian Banks is one of these films that it's going to make you angry, it's going to inspire you, and it's going to bring some tears. So I highly suggest taking some tissues when you go to see this. The thing is, this is a story that we have heard all too often. We hear it way too often here in America about how some guy, black, brown, white, or otherwise, has been lied on by some chick somewhere about something that didn't happen, and they either end up serving time or worse. There are many people that are on death row because someone wrongly accused them of rape, someone was wrongly accused of murder, and there they sit because somebody, popped off at the mouth and they were wrong in what they said. Brian Banks is a local to the Los Angeles area. He's from the municipality of Long Beach, and he was an up-and-coming rising star in the football world. I mean, the media was on him. The national media was on him. The local media was on him. He had attention coming from everywhere. There was no doubt that when this dude got his full ride to USC, the University of Southern California, that he was going to be a force to be reckoned with in the NFL once he got there, because there was no doubt that he was going to get there. And then one day and one decision and one girl changed all of that. This is a true story. Brian Banks does exist. It's inspirational because Brian I think he had 10 weeks left on his parole. So he pled out because his lawyer at the time told him, take the plea deal, better to take the plea deal, like they always do. Take the plea deal and you won't get as much time. Well, he took the plea deal and he got 7 years. So there's that. But when his parole was about to be up, the problem lied in the fact that he pled guilty to committing a crime. Therefore, if his parole had run out, then this crime that they say he committed would have stayed on his record for the rest of his life. He would have to stay registered as a sex offender for the rest of his life. And he knew that he didn't do anything that he was being accused of. So he contacted the California Innocence Project, which is run by Justin, a guy named Justin here in Southern California, and begged for Justin to take his case back to the California courts to have them overturn the verdict and expunge his record. And that is exactly what happened. And when I tell you Aldous Hodge, who plays Brian Banks in this movie, Aldous Hodge about to win an Oscar, y'all. I'm just saying, I'm calling it here on the Curvy Critic. He about to win an Oscar because he has another film coming out called Clemency with Alfre Woodard. I saw that at Sundance as well. If you see Brian Banks and you see what he's doing in Brian Banks, and then you see Clemency, you're going to be like, okay, Denzel going to just have to take a seat because Aldous Hodge got this on lockdown. He is giving a performance of epic proportions in both of these films, but particularly in Brian Banks. He will have you watching this film with a lump in your throat for most of the film. Sherry Shepherd plays his mom. And we're used to seeing Sherry Shepherd when she was hosting The View. We're used to seeing her on game shows like the one with Anthony Anderson. I can't remember the name of it at the moment. But we're used to seeing her be funny, is what I'm trying to say. We're used to seeing Sherry be comical and funny. There's been a few films where she's been serious and she's played some dramatic characters, like when she was in Precious, she had a serious character there as a social worker. There's been a couple of other films where she's done some turns as a dramatic character. But her turn in Brian Banks as his mom, I'm really hoping that she can get some attention for it because it's really strong, stellar, grounded work. And it's not like anything anyone has seen Sherry Shepherd do in a minute. So I highly suggest seeing it for those two reasons alone, for Aldous Hodge and for Sherry Shepherd, and to just be aware of Brian Banks' story. Brian Banks eventually, like I said, was able to get his record cleared, and he went on to play for the Atlanta Falcons. So his story did have a good ending, a happy ending, but a lot of young men who end up in that situation, they don't have that happy ending. They don't end up seeing their record getting expunged. And this story in particularly, To Tell the Truth, thank you, Michael B. Sherry's often seen on To Tell the Truth. Michael Banks resonated with me very strongly because I know someone very close to me that experienced a situation very similar to this when this person was when this person was arrested. The crime that they committed was considered a misdemeanor, and by the time he went for arraignment, the crime was elevated from a misdemeanor to a felony, a federal crime, and this person ended up having to spend 11 years. But the thing was, some of the stuff he was accused of, he did, but a good portion of it he didn't. And he took the fall for all these other people that did do it. And these other people went on to have lives. They went on to have wives and, homes and really high-paying jobs. And this person had to come out of prison after 11 years and start over and spend months and months and months and months and months, sometimes in some instances years, looking for a job where nobody wants to give you a chance if you're an ex-con. So Brian Banks is an important film for these reasons. It will inspire you. It will give you hope. It will teach you, if you don't know already, to never give up. When somebody tells you, no, you can't do that, you don't give up. You don't ever let somebody tell you when it's time for you to give up, because this is your life. So you give up when you feel like it's time to give up. But I'm telling you, never give up. It's also a film that will let you know that you can't change how people are going to react to you. You can't change what people are going to say about you. You can't change what people are going to do to you. But what you can change is how you react to it. So you can change how you react to anything, but you can't change all that other stuff. All that stuff outside of you, can't do nothing about that, but you can change your reaction. And because Brian Banks was able to reach inside himself and change his reaction to his circumstances, he turned his circumstances around. The film is not getting a big push of love from the critics. I'm not really quite sure why. I'm not sure if it's because we've seen a story of a young black man who wants to be a football player who's come from adverse circumstances. We've seen that story. We've seen it be true in The Blind Side. We've seen it in so many different films, but I feel like this film is really important. I feel like people should be talking about it, and it's just kind of going into the wasteland of, oh, because it got a 58% score on Rotten Tomatoes, nobody's going to go see it. I'm telling you right now, you need to go see it. Opening weekend is the most important weekend, but opening week is the most important week beyond opening weekend. So if you didn't get a chance to see it this weekend when it opened on Friday, Saturday, or today, please, at some point during the week, take your family, take your friends, go as a group, have it as a discussion like folk would have a discussion with a book club. Use this film as an impetus to have a discussion about the incarceration of young black men in this country. It's an important conversation that we have to continue to have. Whether you are a black man, whether you are a brown man, whether you are an Asian man, whatever person of color that you are, this is a conversation that needs to be happening now more than ever. So I'm going to get off my soapbox and say, I think I've said all I need to say about that. But Brian Banks is in cinemas right now, and it is directed, not directed, but it's in theaters right now. And yeah, you guys, just check it out. I really can't say enough about it. All right. Now, another film that I saw, this is a short film, and I usually don't talk about short films on this show. I actually make it a point not to, because there are like a bazillion short films, and my eyes will cross between the short films and the feature narrative films that I see. But I'm going to talk about this film because it has special meaning to me. Now, if anybody listening has been a little black girl, if you're a girl and you are black and you've been a little black girl, you've had some moment in your life where your daddy had to comb your hair. There was some moment where your daddy had to comb your hair because your mother had to go to work, or she didn't feel good, or she was having another baby, whatever the situation may be. For me, my dad tried to do my hair one day when my mother was in the hospital having my little brother. And he was trying his best to make me look cute to go pick up my mom. And when I tell you my head looked a hot mess, it looked a hot mess. He could not do it to save his life. And my dad had me between his legs, and my godfather was standing over him, and daddy was holding me down, and my godfather was trying to comb my hair. I have a picture of it, and I've posted it on IG and Twitter a zillion times. As a matter of fact, it's on Twitter right now because I reached out to the director, Matthew Cherry, to let him know how much I enjoyed the film, and I posted that picture. So if you go to my Twitter feed, you'll see that picture of my godfather trying to comb my head and my daddy just kind of holding me down and looking at me smiling because he's doing absolutely nothing. But Hair Love is about this. It's an animated feature. It's produced by Sony Pictures Animation, and it is a short film about this little girl whose mother is dying from cancer. She's in the hospital. Her father and her are going to pick her up this particular day, and the little girl wants her hair to look cute the way it did when her mom did it for her, but she can't get it together to do it. Her dad can't get it together to do it, and finally she shows her dad a YouTube video because her mom was a YouTuber. I think it's so awesome that they included what's happening in today's culture into this short film, and the daughter plays the video for her dad, and they get the hair together and they go pick her up. When I tell you, I was in the snot ugly cry watching this 10 minutes of movie. It warmed my heart so much because it tells you a couple of things. It shows you the relationship between a mother and a daughter. It shows you the relationship between a daughter and her dad. It shows you how important it is to give our hair love, because a lot of us that have natural hair, it's a lot. Like sometimes when I do my hair, I will look cute at the top of the stairs, and by the time I get to the front door, I look like I have stuck my tongue in an electric socket. Like it just looks a hot buttered mess. So for Matthew Cherry and Peter Ramsey, who won the Oscar earlier this year for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, for them to get together, and kudos to Sony for all three of them getting together to make this film. It's going to make so many little young girls happy. It's going to help so many young dads to know that, you have YouTube now. My daddy didn't have YouTube. My daddy had My Godfather, and that was it. So I'm just saying, it's a beautiful thing that that in this film they're incorporating all these things that are current, and it's a love story for a family and for hair. So it's called Hair Love. It opens right before you go to see Angry Birds 2, which is also produced by Sony. It's also produced by Sony Pictures. Angry Birds 2. Before I give my review on Angry Birds 2, I'm going to talk about Sterling K. Brown for a second. Sterling K. Brown is from St. Louis, Missouri, and so am I. And so I have followed the trajectory of his career ever since I saw him in The People vs. O.J. I believe he won the Emmy for that. I've been following his career since then because he's somebody that's from St. Louis, as is Niecy Nash, as is Cedric the Entertainer. There's a whole plethora of people that live in the Los Angeles area that are from St. Louis, Missouri, myself being one of them. So I made it my business to reach out and touch and try my best to get an interview with Sterling because he's my St. Louis homie. I had to do it. And graciously enough, Sony Animation and Sony Pictures conceded, and they allowed me to talk to him for a whole 3 minutes. So here is that interview right now. What's up, my St. Louis homie?
What's going on, sister?
I was so excited to see that you were doing a voice in Angry Birds too.
It's fun.
Gary, the scientific dude.
Yeah.
How much you know about science?
I know a little bit.
Oh, really?
I know a little bit. I did well in my physics in high school. I got an A in that, A in bio. I think I got a B+ in chemistry. I was a solid student. I was good.
Oh, okay.
I went to Stanford.
Oh, well, then there's that.
You gotta do all right. You gotta do all right.
There's that. And you're about to do another one too. You're about to do another animated project too. I know you can't talk about it, but
I have no idea what you mean.
Okay. Yeah. So I know that we're both from St. Louis, Missouri.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So how would you say that St. Louis has helped you navigate the madness of Hollywood? Because it's a different kind of animal out here.
It's a different kind of animal. There's something about just being from the Midwest, the values, the sort of sense of groundedness, you regular people. And I think I sort of carry that around with me wherever I am. In the back of my mind, I'm still this kid from Indian Meadows who was just fortunate enough to catch the right break at the right time. Blessed, you know what I'm saying? And so I just try to remember that. My whole family's still there. They still call me silly nicknames from when I'm a kid.
I need to know. You gotta break me.
I think my aunts call me Bullet. That's their go-to nickname because they said when I came out of the womb, I was faster than a speeding bullet. And they look around and say, "Where'd Kel go?" And they he gone. He on one side of the room, 7 months just crawling all over the place. So Bullet, my nickname, Kelby. Everybody calls me Kelby when I'm there. I feel while everything else has sort of changed, I feel like I'm still the same dude. And I owe a lot of that to just being from the Midwest.
I love that.
Yeah.
Me too. I feel grounded because I'm from St. Louis.
Sure.
Well. And you mentioned Indian Meadows. You have a production company by the same
right.
name. What do you guys have coming up?
Man, we got a few things in the works right now. There's an interesting project in development called Washington Black, which is based on the New York Times bestseller that we have in development right now at 20th Century Fox. A couple other things, but that's the one that I'm most excited about and that we're sort of moving forward with at present.
Okay,
yeah.
And if Gary and Randall from This Is Us met,
okay.
What do you think that conversation would be like?
Randall, good to meet you. What an absolute pleasure to be in your presence. I'd be like, hey, thanks, Gary. It's nice to meet you, too. It's I have a wonderful invention that I'd like to introduce you to. It's Gary, I'm trying to run into politics right now. I'm in a whole other thing. He's well, something that could work for politics as well. It's Gary, please, I appreciate that. But these black people in Philadelphia looking at me like I'm crazy. I can't be talking to a pig right now. I'm trying to get my black card. It will go something like...
I can't with you. I was trying so hard not to laugh, but only my face hurt.
It's all
good.
good.
It's my time, Brother Sterling. I appreciate you so
Thank
much.
you,
Thank
Carla.
you. I appreciate it.
Pleasure is mine.
I love me some Sterling K. Brown. And when I tell you, I was laughing my buns off when he was doing the whole back and forth voice thing. So when you go see Angry Birds 2, Sterling plays this pig named Gary. And Gary is like this scientific type of pig. Like he's got all the formulations for everything to help them get their little plan into place. So that will lead me right into talking about Angry Birds 2. Angry Birds 2 is really hilarious. It picks up where Angry Birds left off. We still know that, Red, played by voiced by Jason Sudeikis, has issues. He has issues of being lonely. He loves that feeling. When we left Angry Birds, he was the town hero. Everybody was looking up to Red, and, he was loving getting that attention. And now he's faced with a new crisis. There's another island in addition to Bird Island. There's this island called Eagle Island, in addition to the Pig Island. So Eagle Island is deciding that they want to take over the Pig Island and the Bird Island. And so the pig and the birds, they get together to try to stop all of that. When I tell you Leslie Jones from Saturday Night Live is pure comedy. She plays this bird named Zeta, this big, long, tall eagle named Zeta, and Zeta got jokes. Zeta has jokes from the time she opens her mouth to the time she stops, and her sidekick, Debbie, is voiced by Tiffany Haddish. So you just put that in your brain and imagine a film where the two characters being voiced that are stealing the movie from everybody else are voiced by Leslie Jones and Tiffany Haddish. I just need for that to marinate for a second. Pure comedy, I'm just saying. Rachel Bloom does the voice of Silver, and little girls are gonna live for Silver because Silver's smart. She's a team player, and she lets people know that being a brainiac isn't such a bad thing. You don't have to be an outcast because you're a brainiac. And she kind of, she knows her place. She knows Red is up in his feelings and feeling some kind of way. So she kind of pauses for the cause, and she steps back a little bit and lets him do his thing. But eventually everybody comes together for the greater good, and that's to save the islands with these two inhabitants, the pigs and the birds on it. The music that has been infiltrated into the film is really stellar, the way that they infiltrate the music to kind of tell the story. So they use that song All By Myself to show Red being by himself and lonely when nobody was checking for him. They use Margaritaville when Zeta is drinking her pina coladas, pretending that she's on the beach when she's really on an island of ice. They use Dead or Alive, Guns N' Roses' Dead or Alive, when the hatchlings have popped off on some stuff. I don't want to tell you what the hatchlings did because it was funny. And the hatchlings, let me just talk about the hatchlings. The hatchlings are voiced by two of Nicole Kidman's children, which is funny. I'm like, oh, so we gonna keep show business all in the family. It's all good. So her two daughters are doing the voices of the hatchlings in Angry Birds 2, the movie. I believe Viola Davis's daughter is she's either doing a voice that she's not credited for, or she was just on the red carpets. I may be remiss in that, but she was at the red carpet yesterday. I know that for sure. But Angry Birds 2, you guys, it's a lot of fun. It's pure comedy. I had an opportunity to sit down with the director Thurop and Thurop Van Orman, and I talked with John Cohen, who is one of the producers. I'll have those interviews up for you guys next week. I talked to Sterling. You guys saw that interview, and it's a great film. I love animated films because we live in such a dark, troubling, challenging time right now, when every time you turn on the news, it's something negative and something about our current president and our current administration that's never stellar or never positive. To just walk away from that for a second and watch something that's silly and funny, I'm all about it. So Angry Birds 2 opens this week. It's produced by Sony Animation, Sony Pictures. It stars Jason Sudeikis, Rachel Bloom, Tiffany Haddish, Bill Hader, Leslie Jones. The list goes on and on and on and on and on of all the people. Awkwafina's in it. Nicki Minaj is doing a voice. It's a star-studded cast of voice talent, and no one, not one single person, disappoints. That is Angry Birds 2. That's coming at you. Let me see what y'all talking about in this chat room. Let's see. Jenna says DC need to stop playing and cast Sterling as Jon Stewart or Icon, if not Feige, to do us a favor and make him Blue Marvel or Professor Xavier. Well, you know, he was in Black Panther. He was in Black Panther, so there's that. And I'm sure at some point he probably will be a superhero. I can't imagine that he wouldn't be. And Michael B is like, I can get down with him being Professor X, but they're thinking about my homeboy from Breaking Bad as Magneto, sorry. And Professor X should be around the same age. That's true. The piglets are cute, Marlon Wallace. They are hella funny. Yeah, so that's that from the chat room. And I just want to give you some news. So I am a member, I say this all the time, I'm a member of AFCA, the African American Film Critics Association, and we had our inaugural TV honors today. If you're watching, this is our little program, our TV honors, yay. And we honored quite a few people, but I was honored enough to introduce Miss Angela Bassett, who was awarded for Best Female TV Performance in her role on 911 on CBS. We also honored This Is Us. Child, it's a lot of theys and a lot of us's and a lot of titles. When They See Us, which is streaming on Netflix right now and nominated for, I believe, 16 Emmys. We honored them with Best Ensemble. We gave Jarrell Jerome, who played Corey Wise, with the breakthrough performance. We also honored the writing, and we honored it as a limited series. Ava DuVernay was on hand to talk about the film, to talk about how it got to Netflix, Netflix's role in helping to shepherd this particular limited miniseries into the hearts and minds and souls and consciousness of American people and even people that don't live in America, because you can get Netflix all over the world now, and it's nominated for so many Emmys, and I'm hoping to see quite a few of them take home an award or two. We honored Power as the best TV drama. We honored The Neighborhood, which is on CBS, as the best TV comedy. We also honored Sterling K. Brown, my St. Louis homie, with Best TV Performance Male. And we gave the Inclusion Award to CBS. Now, I know some of y'all listening talking about CBS. Y'all gave CBS the Inclusion Award. Let me tell you why. CBS got the Inclusion Award because there's a young woman that works there named Tiffany Anoy Smith, who is a graduate of Howard University, as am I. And she works really, really, really hard to make sure that CBS is conscious of their diversity problem and constantly on the cycle of trying to change it and trying to flip it around. And they're doing that with The Neighborhood, because The Neighborhood addresses diversity in a whole nother way. And I'm kind of sick of using that word diversity, but I just use it in this instance to, make my point. But that is why CBS was awarded the Inclusion Award from AFCA today. I just wanted to clear that up. And the TV Icon Award went to Ryan Murphy, who you guys know. Ryan Murphy is like the killer producer on television nowadays. He produced the assassination of Gianni Versace. He was the producer and creator of Glee. He produced Feud. He's currently producing Pose on FX, which stars MJ Rodriguez, Billy Porter, India Moore, Charlene Woodard, and so many other people. At the awards today, MJ Rodriguez was there, Ryan Murphy was there, Angela Bassett was there. It was a great afternoon. We had it at the California Yacht Club here in Los Angeles, out in Marina Del Rey. It's a beautiful day here, so it was perfect for all of that. And I'll have some pictures up later on in the week to talk about it a little bit more. So let me just pop off some news real quick. Fox Searchlight has set an October 4th release of a film for Natalie Portman called Lucy in the Sky, where she is starring as an astronaut who returns from space. That sounds really good. Nate Parker, remember Nate Parker from A Birth of a Nation? He's back on the scene. He's got a film called American Skin that's going to debut at the Venice Film Festival, so I'm sure we'll be talking about that in the weeks to come. Also wanted to give homage and pay tribute to my sister, Toni Morrison. Toni Morrison was a Pulitzer Prize, Nobel Prize winning author. She wrote books, my favorite book of all time, The Bluest Eye. She wrote Paradise. She wrote Beloved, which was made into a motion picture produced and starring Oprah Winfrey, Tandy Newton, Kimberly Elise, Danny Glover. She I mean, I could go through the whole list of books and pieces through Toni Morrison. She was one of my favorites. I became aware of her as a student at Howard University. I am a graduate of Howard University as well, so I became aware of her works at that school, and I've been a fan of hers ever since. I reviewed right here on the Curvy Critic a film of hers that was at Sundance called Toni Morrison, Pieces of Me, and she was unapologetically black. She was unapologetically black. All of her characters in all of her books were always black women. They weren't black women that were victims. She always made them very strong, very, what's the word I'm looking for? They were very strong-willed, held high type of women. They were always those types of characters in her books. And she personally, I'm about to get a little emotional. I personally am so grateful that the universe created a human being like Toni Morrison. Toni Morrison aided me personally in learning how to be proud of being a black woman, how to be proud of Howard University, and how to be proud of just existing as a human being regardless of my gender. That is what she did for me. That is what she means to me. That is what she will always mean to me. And she lost her life this year after a very short illness, but I would be remiss on this show, especially since she's one of my favorite authors along with Alice Walker, to not acknowledge her presence in this world, her presence in my life. And yeah, so I just wanted to let y'all know about that. I also wanted to talk a little bit about The Little Mermaid, because I don't think I talked about this last week. The Little Mermaid, they're doing a live event where Queen Latifah is going to be Ursula. I'm there for all of that. I am there for all of that with Queen Latifah being Ursula. It is going to give me my best life. I'm so excited to see that. Very, very excited to see that. And yeah, so excited to see that. There is a new film coming up called Concrete Cowboys. Be on the look for that. And next week, I'll just tell you what we're going to talk about next week. Next week, we're going to talk about Brittany Runs a Marathon. I have an interview with its star, Jillian Bell, in accordance to that. I also will have an interview with, I talked about Hair Love a little earlier. I went on and on and on about Hair Love and how much I love it. And I think Marlon B told me he saw that picture. That picture I told y'all is on Instagram, in my Instagram feed of my father trying to comb my hair. Is pure comedy. But I will talk to Matthew Cherry and Peter Ramsey tomorrow, so I'll have that interview for you guys as well. And I'm going to review a film called Don't Let Go. So that is what we'll be talking about next week. Again, if this is your first time here at the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata, please do me a favor. Go to iTunes and give me a review, you guys. I know y'all see this show. I run into people in the street all the time. They're like, oh my God, I see your show. I love your show. Telling me that you love my show is really wonderful, great, and fabulous. I love that you do that and that you come up to me and you let me know to my face. But let other folk know too, so that they don't think I'm making it up. Because I'm like, yeah, people tell me they love my show all the time, and then they don't see nothing on iTunes. So go to iTunes, write me a review, talk about the show, give me some thumbs up here at YouTube. You know, let the folks at Black Hollywood Live know you love a sister. I'm just saying, just let folk know. Let me see what's happening in the chat room. I'm gonna go back. There's a documentary about Toni Morrison. Yeah, that's the documentary I was talking about, Pieces of Me. That's what it's called, Pieces of Me. And it's a documentary. I interviewed that director too, and he was really nice. I moderated a panel with him earlier this year. He was really, really cool. Jenna James is saying, funny how the biracial girl playing Ariel didn't have any casting backlash in the Little Mermaid play, unlike the girl from Grownish for the live action film. Yeah, that is real interesting. It's very interesting. But that's the world that we live in. You know what I'm saying? It's just the world that we're living in right now. Hopefully it won't always be like that, but yeah, that's what we're dealing with right now. What else are y'all talking about? There was something else I saw that I wanted to talk. So Jenna was like, yeah, I don't watch much on CBS. I know let me tell you something. The Neighborhood is actually really funny. And if you're not familiar with The Neighborhood on CBS, it stars Tashina Arnold, Cedric the Entertainer. I can't remember Max's last name. And a couple of other people, but it's really funny. It's funny. It's very well written. It's done very, very well, and I would suggest checking it out. It may not be your cup of tea. It's my cup of tea, but it may not be yours. But I would suggest giving it a chance and checking it out just the same. Somebody said something else that I wanted to address. Oh, somebody said I became a fan from watching Oprah back in the day. Right, Michael B., because Toni Morrison used to do those book circle, book club things on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and she would always have Toni Morrison there. I think she did Beloved on her book club thing. She did Paradise on her book club thing, and I think she did one more Toni Morrison book when she had her book club thing. But yeah, I mean, she was definitely a force to be reckoned with, and the literary world will miss her immensely. They will immensely miss her. She's a voice that was very well needed, and she's still needed today, even though she's not here. But we still have Sonia Sanchez. We still have Nikki Giovanni. We still have Alice Walker. We still have so many other African-American literary giants that are still living. We have artists like Cynthia St. James that are still here. So let's celebrate the people that we still have here and revere and honor those that are no longer with us and keep speaking their names so that they continue to live on in generations well beyond us. So that is my time. You have joined Carla Renata, the Curvy Critic, for episode 72. I will be back next week with episode 73, talking about Brittany Runs the Marathon, Don't Let Go, and some interviews with Jillian Bell, Matthew Cherry, and Oscar winner Peter Ramsey. But until then, love, peace, and hair grease, and I'll see y'all on the flip side. Bye.
On behalf of our BHL staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in to Black Hollywood Live, the world's first digital broadcast network devoted entirely to urban entertainment and pop culture. Check out our Black Hollywood Live YouTube page for even more great programming and amazing content, and be sure to subscribe and like our channel when you do. I'm your BHL host, Nakia Monet, and you can find me on all social media at Kiki Boom Boom or at Black Hollywood Live. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood redefined.